Welcome to Bitcoin Live. I am Joe Bagonis, the content director of Bitcoin Live, and today I am joined by one of the premier mentors of Bitcoin Live, Mr. Haejin Lee. Haejin, how are you doing today?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing awesome. Really looking forward to this. Very excited to see how we can really join together and make Bitcoin Live a smashing success.
Yes, I think we're going to have a lot of fun working on Bitcoin Live together. Before we get started on this webinar, I want to thank everybody who's tuned in right now. I can see everybody who's in the comment section. Be ready with your questions. We're going to be going to you shortly. First, I have a few questions for Haejin. So, Haejin, let me ask you, why did you decide to become a trader? What do you love about being a trader?
Well, I'll be very honest, it's really the same reason why for about 20 years of my life, I was a sales executive. I wanted to make money. Profit is a fine thing to have. And at the age of 27, I really got into trading. And that was back in, 1997. And from then to now, I've had so many failure experiences that have taught me so much to really enhance the profit, the probability of profiting. So yeah, money is what really drove me into trading and still has.
Yeah, I can say, I mean, from your existing content, you're very good at what you do. You know a lot about it. It's pretty much the same reason I think I got into it and everyone else got into trading is the love of making money. So let me transition that. Is this an easy skill to learn? What's your approach to teaching people about trading?
Well, let me correlate that to something else about myself. I'm a cellist. I've been a cellist since I was 10 years old. And as a cellist, after the first 5 years, I thought I was pretty good. After 10 years, I thought I was a hot shot. And then after now 20 plus years of doing this, I'm realizing I'm just still improving. So it's no different for trading. Is it easy? Absolutely not. Is it fulfilling? Absolutely yes. It's really a journey, a process to really becoming good at anything. You have to go through a process of development. It's taught me a lot about myself as to who I am, what are my strengths and weaknesses. But really, at the end of the day, it becomes a way to really be able to identify your own custom method, what works for you. As I've told many of my followers already, I always say, you really don't want to go on a guru buffet line. Be able to think on your own, be able to make your own analysis and your own decisions. And I've even said that for that reason, I actively avoid other people's analysis, not because they're not good, not to debunk, but because I want to really rely on the analysis that is derived purely from what I think and how I see it. And to arrive at a point like that is not an overnight process. It took me years and years of trial and error. I've been self-taught, although I've had a couple of good brief mentorships by some really well-seasoned, learned traders and analysts. But really, at the end of the day, the only way to become a good trader, I've always said this, a good trader is always a bad trader who forgives himself for his mistakes, learns his lessons, and tries again. So that's how I think about trading, whether it's easy or hard. It's not easy. And the rest of it, you could decide for yourself.
You mentioned something there about having really good mentors. And I think that's one of the key, points about Bitcoin Live is that this is a collection of mentors. And, what is it you want people to know about you and what you will offer on Bitcoin Live?
Sure, absolutely. So the approach I will take in my Bitcoin Live channel will be really binary focused, analysis and education. So I'll give you an example. It will be a little more didactic oriented, embedded within the analysis that I will be presenting. So, for example, in the video analysis I will be presenting on a daily basis for Bitcoin Live, while I analyze, I will go more in depth into as to why I'm counting the Elliott wave this way, why I exactly think the correction is this way, but in a very didactic approach, instructive approach. Instead of assuming that you know exactly what I mean, I will provide the needed and necessary background so that all levels, newbies to intermediate to advanced, will find that kind of approach informative. So that's really what I will do. Now, there will be quite a bit of similarity to what I will do at Bitcoin Live to what I'm currently doing at Steemit. It will be a demand-driven process. I will take demands, questions, and requests for analysis of cryptos only, not stocks, only cryptos. And from that pool, I will pick a very good handful every day, just like I do on Steemit, analyze it, but really embed the analysis with the educational approach so that, again, even a newbie should find it very informative, even to the advanced levels. Now, when I release these analysis reports on my Bitcoin Live channel, you should follow me on Twitter too, because that'll be announced as to the availability of a new analysis report that just came out from me. So, and then also I will provide 2 to 3 times a week where I will be available for Q&A through a chat session. And that really is a good approach and opportunity for you to get access to me directly. And when you're in that session, many people will ask the questions you probably want to ask as well. But it really adds that additional layer of instructive approach that I can provide to anyone who wants to have exposure to it. So, and what I really find exciting, everybody, is that there are growth features that can be added to my channel. What I'm thinking is, for example, live group coaching sessions. I will have a featured theme. For example, one day I'll say buy and sell setups, exactly how I do it and what I do. Another well-known technique that I use is called a laddering approach, casting a ladder to buy or sell. How exactly that's done. I've got a lot of secret sauces that I've learned individually from my self-taught years to really be able to share with you, but also for you to really be able to see it, try it, and see if it could amend or really augment your own due diligence process as well. The other really great additional feature, which probably will launch sometime maybe in the fall timeframe, will be the profit alerts, PROPHET alert systems, where I will put out on a regular basis alerts of buys, sells, backed up with a full analysis, buy target as well as profit target, stop loss targets, etc., etc. And that I find probably will be very exciting, not just for myself, for many of you as well, because that's been on demand, being asked of me for quite a while. I just haven't had the bandwidth to be able to do this. Now, the other announcement is, as of June 4th, when the launch of Bitcoin Live happens, all crypto analysis will cease and stop on Steemit, because Bitcoin Live will be the dedicated platform and channel for me to output all that analysis. Therefore, Steemit will be dedicated for stocks, commodities, options only as of June 4th. There will be every now and then maybe a summary here and there on the crypto market, but it's primarily all crypto analysis will be on Bitcoin Live. On Bitcoin Live, from a daily structure point of view, I will be presenting a daily morning assessment of the crypto market. Pretty much what I'm doing, I'll start with a Bitcoin morning analysis every day, and I may probably close with a Bitcoin or Ethereum evening analysis. But the key point, again, is for this to be driven by requests from the members of Bitcoin Live. Any member can make a request. And as it has happened right now, I'll probably get a backlog of requests. And based on that, the pool of the requests, I will pick the ones that have the most number of requests common-wise and present those. The number of posts could range from 3 to 20 a day. God knows exactly how many, but again, it'll primarily be demand-driven instead of me just pushing out what I think. And you know what? That feature, I think, is what really drove my popularity within Steemit. Every other analyst was they were outputting what they thought. I couldn't care less what I thought because I already know what I thought. But I really wanted to see if I could help other people. I take demands and requests for analysis of a crypto from my followers on Steemit. And from day one to now, that really has not changed. And that was that real unique differentiation factor that I applied and has worked very well to really elevate the Haejin brand, if you will, within even Steemit. So I like to do the same here. Now, in my blogs, before I started really getting a lot of followers, I've always consistently said, and I still say the same thing, even on Bitcoin Live, my objective as an analyst and maybe as a coach really is to help and do no harm. That really has been my approach in my adult life. I've made my wealth. I'm very happy doing what I'm doing, and I would like to see if I can help others to achieve exactly the same thing. It's not a perfect way of analyzing, technical analysis. Many think it's voodoo science. But if you look at the evidence of performance, that's really the key for any analyst. In other words, as an analyst, I work for you. My job is to provide the output, the augmentation of my input on analysis so that you can make a better decision on your trading and your investment decisions. So I think in a nutshell, I hope that gives a good summary of what you can expect on Bitcoin Live.
Okay. I have just one last question before we turn it over to the community. So if you're not already submitting questions, please send in some questions in that chat window on the side. Haejin, what excites you about cryptocurrencies?
Well, you know what? My motto, even on my Steemit, you'll see on top right under my avatar, opt out of fiat and opt into cryptocurrencies. And I don't know if you've taken economics, what have you, but there is a monetary principle called the Gresham's law. And Gresham's law states that bad money drives out the good money. And that is an exact process that's happening when people are opting out of fiat and opting into cryptos. I'll give you a very simple example. When I'm sent to the grocery store to buy a can of tuna fish, I've been trained by my wife to reach into the back of the shelf and grab the ones in the back, not the front. Because unbeknownst to the stone or the stock person, they are actually executing Gresham's law. They are putting the older, near expired cans of tuna in the front and hiding the good ones in the back. Now, what excites me about cryptocurrencies is that the Gresham's law is already well in process. It is already being executed. We are the early adopters. Next, I believe maybe the Wall Street, the money managers will come in. But oh God, you just wait until this goes to the main street. Even if they want to shut it all down, they wouldn't be able to. It'll be impossible. That's what it's the next level of monetary base that will truly be controlled by the masses and not just a few. And I find that phenomenally exciting.
Beautiful. All right. So now we're going to turn it over to the loyal viewers right now. Before I get started, everyone's questions about how much it's going to cost. We will be sending out an email. So if you haven't already, please sign up with Haejin and we will send you an email for how much a subscription will cost. All right. Our first question from Doyle Kalita. How will people submit crypto requests to you?
You know, that infrastructure has not been finalized yet, but I can just show you this. It'll be very easy. Either there will be a button where you say make an request for analysis to Haejin, or there will be an email address dedicated to receiving those requests, and those will come directly to me. But we haven't decided yet. It's going to be made very easy so that it won't be a task for anyone to do so. You may even be able to see exactly which other coins are in the queue or backlog, or who else have made other requests, so that if it's already there, you need not make it again, probably. But then again, if the coin is there, but you have a different twist, for example, someone makes a BTC pair request for the NAV coin, but you want it with the USD pair, you'll have to make that request and specify that.
Okay. Our next question comes from Pat Ken, and he wants to know, can you do complete portfolio management for him?
Can I do that? Would be outside of the purview of BitcoinLive. But bear in mind, I have been, still do, and still will provide consulting as well as coaching sessions. I mean, my goodness, I've got stay-home moms who took sessions with me on how to do Elliot Wave counting and chart pattern analysis. And these ladies are making more money than their working husbands. So I provide that. Now, portfolio management, what have you, I can work with you on your portfolios. And I do have clients who have me on a retainer basis as well. And to those clients, I provide actual very specific in real time buy, sell, execution alerts. And I monitor their portfolio, and they get weekly access to me one-on-one, which time can be used for not only portfolio analysis or trade analysis, but to really learn, if you like, to how to fish on your own. I can take you through the Elliott Wave proficiency stage, as well as chart pattern recognition. But really, the esoteric level of what I teach is combining those two, so the one get become ideally later on an expert at projecting the future price pathways. So yes, I can do it, but it'll have to be outside of BitcoinLive.
Okay. I've got a question from Robert Morrison, and I'm gonna kind of rephrase what he's asking. He says, if the majority of the community is asking for, one or two specific coins for analysis, will other coins be overlooked?
Never. Absolutely not. So it'll be a pyramid way of finding the most commonly requested coins and the not so commonly requested coins, and you know which ones I'll go after first. I would foresee that on a daily basis, I'll probably do Bitcoin and Ethereum, or combine those two on a daily, at least morning assessment. But then, like I said, my goodness, the number of coins that I'll analyze could range from 3 to 20, or maybe if I have to, 50 a day. But that's not a guarantee that I will do every analysis every day, because there will be a backlog. But here's the thing. If you own one particular crypto and I do an analysis of another one that you don't own, but you find it very attractive from a technical analysis perspective, boy, that's a great way to find a new candidate to input into your portfolio.
Okay. I've got a question from Raj Pandey. He says, do you believe in cartel, and are they really suppressing Bitcoin, or will Bitcoin ever go up to 100,000?
Well, I am a 100% wholehearted technical analyst. I think if you've been following me for a while, I've always and consistently stated that news and events will arrive to justify the forecast. In other words, if you've also seen, I'm very passionate in studying the relationship between sentiment and sentiment's action on price. I believe, and I wrote an essay on this, I believe that price and sentiment interaction is far more upstream than events and news, which is more downstream. This is why, to me as an analyst, price is most immediately reflective of what sentiment state is. And that's why analyzing price is a lot more profitable, in my opinion, with a better ROI than analyzing fundamentals, which are the news and events, and therefore more downstream. I never combine the two. Now, can people control the waves? If we think with wave 3, can they make it into wave 2? The best I can say to that is waves can be bent and stretched by outside events. Now, there's a beautiful article written by Robert Prechter from Elliot Wave International, who wrote an article comparing and really challenging as to whether the Federal Reserve was setting the interest rates, or as to whether they were really following the rates. And what he presented was that while the public perceived the central banks as the setter of rates, Robert Prechter really laid it out and showed in a very beautifully well-written essay that they were actually, in fact, following the rates. And I think the cartels follow the waves whether they know it or not. So they can stretch and maybe bend it for a little while, but they cannot control it. So I know there's a big following out there by one person who says that the price of Bitcoin will be subdued consistently and continuously. You know, I'll give you an example. I was told when I made a forecast on Steam Dollar back several months ago that it's going to skyrocket. Everyone said, well, you're crazy because it's pegged to $1. It's not going to move. Nothing's going to happen. But the answer I gave to that was nothing can stop and prevent an unbridled sentiment. If there are cartels out there whose aim and objective is to suppress the price of Bitcoin, they themselves will come to a point when they will not be able to suppress the unbridled bullish sentiment of Bitcoin. So, and all I can say is when they seem to be successful in suppressing the price, it just will coincide with a corrective wave, which is probably what we saw from January to the 5,900 low point. It just coincided with the people selling out the Mt. Gox holdings, et cetera, et cetera. But again, that's to me news and events arriving to justify the forecast.
Okay. Let's see. We've got a question from Schweitzer Jerome, and he wants to know, do you short?
Do I short Bitcoin? Never. I had some clients who wanted to go to BitMEX, and my goodness, I don't use leverage. I don't borrow money using leverage or margin to feed the greed. You got to understand that the number one reason why people lose money is because of greed and fear. And the way you control this is to have discipline. And the discipline of knowing and not using margin or shorting Bitcoin is, I think, a prudent one because it will more than once save your bacon. So I don't. Now, the only time I ever use a margin account is when I buy options on the stock market to put in call options. I do have a margin account, but I don't use the margin. I just need that margin status to be able to short, not short, buy the put options and the call options. If and when there are better ways and channels to be able to do that in the cryptocurrencies, I'll probably do the same thing. But I do not outright short. No.
Okay. Let me see. We've got a question from, let's see, Tulia Sharma. What's the risk of investing in altcoins without taking your support?
Without taking.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the last part means, but let's just go with what's the risk of investing in altcoins?
Well, I base my altcoin investment purely on technical analysis, not on the utility, not on the white paper, not on the fundamentals, what have you. Having said that, the risk on a altcoin is the greater volatility. Now, the volatility can be working in your favor if you know that you're on bottom of wave 2, and what comes next is wave 3 skyrocketing high and going vertical. The risk of altcoin for many newbies is not knowing when to take your profits. And I've said consistently, if you don't even know how to count anything in ways, if you see price going vertical on an altcoin, what do? You take some off the table and take your profits. Why? That's not sustainable. So that's the difference. Now, if in my portfolio, I have 17 different altcoins, and I've got 50% of my portfolio allocated to that. But then you got to understand that other 40% is allocated to the big market cap coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Dash, for example. So I'm playing both capabilities on the Bitcoins and the altcoins, but you have to be able to know that they each have, I guess the best way to put it is they each have personality differences. And you got to know those personality differences. And the best way to know it is to keep analyzing, and you'll see the differences.
We have a couple questions that are being consistent by a few people, and they want to know if you'll be covering any ICOs.
I was involved shortly with the Exploria ICO, but with the joining of Bitcoin Live, I exited from that. You got to understand, I think Bitcoin Live will be most productive if we stay out of any pump and dump association of any kind. Even if an ICO that if one of us did recommend or get supported or advised or God knows whatever the role might be, and that ICO goes skyrocketing to 100,000%, whatever that's not the point. The point is we want to be as, how should I say, middle of the road from a association, because if it goes bad, Bitcoin Live does not look good. So none of the analysts will be covering any ICOs. I'll be covering it from maybe an analysis point on a post ICO, but not from a supporting recommendation, advising, or anything like that. Privately, I would, but not on a Bitcoin Live channel. Privately, in that I would discuss ICOs, but I would never advise an ICO CEO or a company like that, even on a private basis.
Okay, we're getting ready to wrap it up, but there's a few solid questions left in here. I'm going to rephrase this one, but because Shai is asking, what indicators do you find useful other than the MACD? And I would rephrase that as how much time will you dedicate to covering other indicators and their usefulness in terms of being a successful trader?
Well, every now and then I do get into candlesticks. Every now and then I will utilize stochastics. I don't really utilize RSI, but I use the MACD because you get 3 in 1. You get a short-term indicator which moves very quickly, and that is the 9-day histogram. And that's, to me, my earlier indicator, early warning system. Then you've got the white line or the blue line, however your system colors it, which is a 12-day, and that's the first lagging indicator. Then you have the 26-day moving average, which is the really the longer lagging indicator. And it's what I call the combination of indication. When all three are pointing up, it's bullish. When all three are pointing down, it's bearish. But the histogram turns first. And that I found in my 20 plus years to be the best indicator for me. I can teach you about other indicators to see as to which one might be best for you. Absolutely.
Beautiful. I'm going to take 2 more questions. So I've got one from Stephen Robinson. He says, hopes you are well, and he wants to know how you will help beginners transition into middleweight and senior analysis. Essentially, how will you help people grow?
Well, I've done that for a long time now, with a lot of people. And as I mentioned earlier, I've even got stay-home wives who gained a proficiency as analysts. Here's really the way I've taken them through, and you'll probably go through the same phase. There will be 3 stages of proficiency you'll have to acquire. The first proficiency stage, you must become a proficient Elliot Wave counter. You must become a proficient Elliotician. That means you need to be able to count to 5 threes and A, B, C, D, E. But believe me, it's not easy as that. However, here's where the value of the coach comes into play. Having seen just about almost everything, gone through so many different ups and downs already, I've gone through probably 65 different bear markets in Bitcoin since 2011 when I got into it. And having a coach who can take you through the pitfalls and how to avoid it and exactly explain to you what to avoid and when to avoid it, and teaching yourself how to do Elliott Wave is very frustrating. And that frustration level can be eliminated just about by the coach who can take you through by hand. And on our sessions, on one-on-one sessions, which is usually outside of Bitcoin Live, we go through chart after chart after chart for about an hour, about 25 charts to labeling. Then the second stage is chart pattern recognition. You need to be able to identify chart patterns, almost just see it at a proficiency level where you can just look at a blank chart and you see every possible chart pattern. If you can get to that level, I help with that. Then the third stage is to gain the proficiency to combine the two. That's my technique. I combine Elliott waves and chart pattern recognition. And the combination of the two allows powerful algorithm to be able to forecast future price pathways in a very high probabilistic basis. And that's really the third esoteric type. Now, having taught so many people, I can tell you the most type of type who do the best: poker players, chess players, writers, poets, thinkers, people who are musicians, artists. And what I'm trying to get at is, if you have a more of a natural tendency to grasp more easily the abstract conceptualizations, you'll get this a lot more easily than anybody else. So if you're a damn good poker player, I think you'll be a pretty darn good technical analyst.
All right, I've got one last question before we have to wrap it up. And I think I know the answer to this one because I've been working on your content for about a month now. And it comes from Craig Todd. And he wants to know, what Elliott Wave, quote, for dummies resource would you recommend to people?
Well, I've always recommended two books. One is the Elliott Wave Principle by Frost and Proctor. Robert Proctor really, I think, is the key leader in Elliott Waves and has been for quite a while. And you'll see that even when you go to his site, he's not a perfect analyst, even at his level, because this is not a analysis based on certainty, because it's an analysis based on probability. You can never be 100% right, but it's what you do afterwards, what you learn from it afterwards, that's the key. So that's one book. Second book is the Stock Trend Analysis by Edwards and McGee. In 1997, I started with that book at the 7th edition. I think the 10th or 11th edition is out right now. You can buy both of these on Amazon.com, or if you do a subscription to the Elliott Wave International with Robert Proctor, which is the site that he owns, and he does just stocks and what have you. I think he even gives away his book for free for subscribing.
Beautiful. All right. So now we've got the final slide up here. This is where people can learn how to sign up for more, learn how to join the Bitcoin Live community. So if you haven't already, sign up with Haejin. Go to https://get.bitcoin.live/Haejin/ one more time. Stay up to date. Follow us at Bitcoin Live. Follow Haejin at Haejin_crypto. You can follow the rest of the mentors on the platform. Haejin, this has been a real pleasure.
Time well spent, everybody. I look forward to meeting you guys again on Bitcoin Live.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching.